As ocean racers, we spend a lot of time on the water, but it's really cool to see what's happening beneath the surface. Coral is such a signal of what's going on. It's affected by sea surface temperature, it's affected by ocean acidification, sea level rise. Everything affects the growth cycle and unfortunately the degradation at times of coral. So it's a perfect thing to study because it speaks to everything that is happening on the ocean in terms of health beneath it. And it's something that we see when we're sailing across it all the time.
We've been losing 50% of the corals over the last 30 years, half in my lifetime. And if we don't stop heating this planet up, we'll probably lose the other 50% in the next 50 to 100 years.
Real face. We're in the Conch Republic. A couple members of the team came down to Key West, Florida to check out one of our grantees, Plant a Million Corals, and Dr. Dave Vaughn.
I'm Dr. Dave Vaughn, and I'm the president and founder of Plant a Million Corals, and we're here to do just that, see if we can help to plant corals at scale and restore our oceans and make our reefs much better. So here in Summerlin Key is where I had what the New York Times called my eureka mistake. The building across from my house is the new Moat Marine Laboratory, where I literally by accident broke a coral into tiny pieces. And instead of it being stressed or dying, it actually grew many times faster. So like a good scientist, I took a scalpel and tried it again. And it's now known as microfragmentation. When they touch each other, they don't fight like corals usually do. Instead, they fuse back together, and we can produce a coral head this big in as little as 2 years that would have taken 100 years to grow.
The team came into contact with Plant a Million Corals and Dr. Dave Vaughn through Schmidt Marine Technologies. The specific goal of this specific grantee was to help Dave redesign his coral growth tanks, because he had some tanks that were functional but not as efficient as they could be.
The bad news is that you have to turn the air off in order to see your crop. So in order to see 20 tanks, you have to go one at a time, turn them off, take a look. And during the day, if you were walking up and down, you wouldn't see or notice something that might be wrong.
I think there was a lot of parallels between what we do on the design side and what Dave was struggling with, as an organization that was just kind of up and coming and trying to make it all happen.
So we always made the analogy that these tanks are like a inside-out sailboat, and you wouldn't want to race with a square box. We utilize some of the expertise of 11th Hour Racing to help us make really a racing reef tank.
Create more space, get more light, have better air filtration, so it was cool to see that happen in real time.
We can now grow hundreds, if not thousands, of corals in one day and make our reefs much better.
You're gonna get to the million mark before you...
In 2 years. If I can make 50 tanks over there, and I get 2 crops a year, and I can do 10,000, per tank in there, I've got it.
Well, let's get you 100 and get you on the golf course a year early. 100 tanks.
Yes, sir. I'm with you. Or help somebody in another country do the same thing, or show them what a million being produced is like, and say, who wants to also do this in your country?
This trip was really cool because we got to see the entire experience full cycle. When we showed up yesterday, we saw the production facility of the new tanks, so we could actually see the allocation of the grant resource at work with the improvement of the tanks and the efficiency of the coral growth cycle. And then we were able to go to the nursery and see the corals getting cut with the saw and fragmented and turned into their microscopic growing organisms. And then today we completed the loop and we actually saw the replanted coral in the water off of Zachary Taylor National Park.
I planted these corals here just 4 or 5 years ago on artificially placed rock that was mined for jetties and wave attenuation. And I am amazed at how well they're doing, how big they're growing, and the survival is fantastic. It attracts fish, and it also attracts a lot of invertebrates, snapping shrimp, little amphipods.
When we were swimming on the reef, we noticed a crackling noise, and we asked Dave what that was, and he said that that was the sign that the reef was alive and growing again, and it was healthy. So if ever you're swimming and you hear that noise, you know that the reef is alive and well. One of the things that Dave brought to our attention is that 50% of the corals on planet Earth have died in our lifetime. So it's crazy to think what this situation is going to be like for our kids, for the next generation, if we don't have these passionate, motivated people like Dave to help bring solutions to the problem. Dr. Dave himself is like the key to this entire thing. So just seeing the passion that he has for growing the corals, the passion for replanting them here in the local community, and then he's trying to spread this blueprint all around the world. So it's local in nature, but also very scalable.